If you have teenagers in your home, you've probably asked this at some point. How can I help my anxious teenager be more positive?
I'm Vicki Jenkins, a speech-language pathologist.
And I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins, a clinical psychologist. We're going to share with you 3 strategies that we've both used in our clinical practice. As a psychologist, I work with anxiety all of the time, and you've probably run into this too, Vicki.
Every day in the schools.
The first place we need to check is our own anxiety.
Yeah, become self-aware of where we are as a parent.
Obviously, anytime we're working with kids or teenagers, we're also working with parents. And I've noticed that sometimes our own anxiety as parents kind of bubbles through, and it affects how we're interacting with our kids.
So to kind of illustrate that point, I work with a lot of kids who stutter. And one time I was watching a video of parents. They had videoed the parents watching videos of their child stuttering. And it was really interesting to watch the parents' faces as their child would get stuck in a stutter. The parents' faces got more anxious and they leaned forward. The parents had no idea that their body language, that their anxiety was raising as their child's anxiety raised.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the point we're focusing, is that just kind of try to be aware of yourself, because you might be inadvertently contributing to the anxiety that's already started.
Nobody does this on purpose. But as you were saying, Vicki, the awareness can really put us in a position where we can help our kids more. We're just inviting you to take a look at that. See where your own level of anxiety is. And if there's some things that you can do to address that, then probably that's going to help working with your child as well.
So take just a minute to breathe and consider that your child has everything they need to handle what they're facing.
That's really the key, what you just said, because our own anxiety is driven by a belief that maybe they can't handle what they're up against, and they're thinking the same thing.
And
actually,
if you think you're hiding your feelings, you're not as good as you think at hiding those feelings. So if you can come in with this thought, they can handle it, you're going to show up with some confidence that will help them as well.
One of the powerful strategies that I've shared with my clients over the years is to listen with empathy. Empathy means that you understand and care how someone else feels.
You know, I keep going back to the thought that when a teenager has an issue, sometimes as an adult, we look at that issue and we think, you know, it's not that big of a deal. It's not really. Yeah. But remember that their feelings are 100% real to them. Their emotion, their distraughtness, everything is just as real to them as it is to you. This is kind of a silly little thing, but when I was a teenager, I had a crush. And the crush didn't
It wasn't on me.
No, he didn't, reciprocate the feelings. And I remember writing in my journal, this is so much more than puppy love, like my mom says. I'm writing it down so I remember when I'm a mom that whatever my kid's feeling is just as real as what my mom's feeling. And I wrote that, but it is really important. Remember that your child's feelings are very, very real. And they're as intense and as important to them as your feelings, even if the problems seem much less important to you. Remember, their feelings are real. That'll give you a lot of credibility with your child if you can remember that their feelings are very real.
This is huge to them. Remember, your perspective is different because you're an adult. And your perspective is not their perspective. So as you listen with empathy, meaning that you understand and care how they feel, here's a little step that a lot of people skip. It's reflective listening. Just think about a mirror, okay?
Right.
If you hold up a mirror to them, look, here's what you're saying. And so phrases like, okay, so if I understand you correctly, and then you give it back to them in a way that they'll recognize it. So you're saying, and show them that you're listening. This is huge for teenagers because they don't feel heard much of the time.
Well, there's some saying out there, and I'm going to butcher it, something about how being heard is as important as being loved. That people, if they feel they were heard, it's the same as feeling like they are loved.
That's how they feel it. Now, I have to address one of my pet peeves, because a lot of times when you hear advice about how to improve relationships or your own life, it's just think positive. which is so annoying.
It's irritating. Right?
It's this trite, fluffy thing that doesn't mean anything. So we're not going to say that to our kids. We're going to teach them what positivity actually is. And we can help you with that. In fact, the best place, I think, to teach principles is to create a context around it. We call it the family council.
Right.
A family council is a time when you come together on a regular schedule so that everybody's expecting. We did this as our kids were
Right.
growing up. And there's an opportunity to teach a principle. It's in the family council where we can share principles like positivity or kindness or gratitude or whatever the principle is.
Responsibility, whatever it is.
Respect, yes. You want to have a venue or a forum in which you can teach these things, and that's what we're calling the Family Council. Don't worry about trying to figure out how to put together this Family Council meeting. In fact, we've created a little tool for you. Go to drpauljenkins.com/Family Council. We've got an agenda already created for you. Just tell us where to send it. We'll get it right to your inbox. I promise, as you put this context in place, the Family Council is a powerful place where you can teach principles like positivity, where you can talk about communication skills, where you can address any issues that come up. And the agenda will give you some other important elements. So make sure you grab that agenda. We've taken care of the structure for you so that you can just plug in the content.
One more point when you're working with your teen who has some anxiety. Remember that you want to reflect back to them what you're hearing without giving advice or kind of telling them what to do. It's a really hard thing for you as a parent because you've got this great wealth of knowledge and experience and you want to share with them. But just take a moment to step back, reflect what you hear without giving that advice. That's one of the things I really like about the Family Council is it gives you a venue to kind of talk about the advice and the things like that. When you're out of the heat of the moment, you've given your child the gift of listening, really, truly listening, and now later you can give them the gift of guidance.
When we work with our teens, like you were saying, Vicki, we have all these ideas, and you will know 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 things that they could be doing, right, to make this better. They're going to resist that.
Yeah, even if it's really, really good. I had a son that if I gave him really, really good advice, but he didn't want it, he would never do it. And if I could wait, he would do it.
A lot of times they already know anyway.
Yeah.
So the empathy will help you to lead them into discovering that principle that you've already talked about in your family council or wherever it was that you taught them. That's powerful, and it's consistent with teenager psychology. All right? So go against some of your natural tendencies to advise or to correct. Sit back, listen. You've got this. I hope you found this helpful. I know you're going to love that agenda that we put together for you. Remember, drpauljenkins.com/Family Council. Go grab it.